The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Geek Nation Tours, and the generous donations of you, the listener. Thank you to everyone for your most generous support. We really appreciate it. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 237, Gangs of Rome, with hosts Neil Shook, Mike Hobbs, and Mike Whittaker, and guest Andy Hobday. This podcast was recorded on the 29th of November, 2017. Greetings one and all, and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. My name's Neil Shook, and on this evening's show I am joined once again by two of my partners in crime. First off, we have the Welsh wizard himself. It is, of course, Mr. Michael Hobbs.
Hello, Neil. How are you?
For the part, I was just thinking of how to describe you, considering some of the things that have been flying around on Twitter today.
Yes.
Let's
just leave it as what happens on Twitter, Neil, stays on Twitter.
Funny enough, I was chastised by my other mate Dave for the missed opportunity on the last show, since I completely failed to pick you up.
So Mike's here. Hi, Mike. How are you, mate?
I was just contemplating whether to remind you that what happens on Twitter stays on Google.
Indeed.
It's our travelling troubadour. It's Mr. Whittaker, the man with the cake.
The man with a pair of Mr. Kipling's exceedingly good lemon slices and a cup of tea.
Ooh, lemon slices. Kipling. Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah. I'll go for one of those. I prefer the chocolate slices, but the lemon ones are perfectly acceptable.
I have a teenager. The chocolate slices don't last.
As long as they're not mint slices. It's not Christmas yet.
No, but it's getting close. We baked the Christmas cake this week. There has been more cake activity.
Must admit, I'm not a big lover of fruitcake.
You need to try this one.
Although, it does depend how thick the marzipan and how thick the icing is.
None on ours.
I'm not coming around your house. No marzipan on a Christmas cake.
Yeah, we're having cake, not icing.
Good grief, no marzipan. Oh.
Anyway, as we are a wargaming and board gaming podcast, should we discuss those?
Well, what have we got on today, Neil?
Yeah.
It's an excellent question, well presented.
Yeah.
I know. We're trying to get you back on track. Put on.
Yeah,
come on. Get with the program.
Indeed. Okay. Obviously, coming up, we will have our fortnightly roundup on about everything we've been up to, and then we have a chat with game designer, miniatures company owner, and head of IT at Warlord Games. It's Mr. Andy Hobday. And we will be chatting to him all about the new game that, as you're listening to this, you can go and pre-order from the Footsore Miniatures website, which is Gangs of Rome, which sounds like a superb little game, but spoilers. So we are chatting to Andy all about Gangs of Rome, and I might have just kind of got distracted and asked him a couple of questions about Test of Honor while we're at it.
That is, at the current moment, we hope to have that interview with Andy. We're not sure if we got it at the moment, but it was a good chat.
It was an excellent interview. Yeah. Suffice it to say, there were some. Oh crikey! Yes, there were a couple of technical issues.
It may develop the legendary proportions of a certain Age of Sigmar rant.
But we'll tell you all
I do
about
hope
it.
not.
And he's an IT professional. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll cope between us.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Otherwise, it'll be a great recording of us asking questions and then just silence.
And silence. Yes, it'll be. Yes, it'll be the best show we never published,
Yeah.
or perhaps the second best show we never published.
There is also the awesome, almost legendary Terrain show.
That was the other one I was thinking about, but there we go. Anyway,
Indeed.
in the words of Mr. Love, who yet again isn't with us, get on with it.
Get on with it!
So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we will be chatting all about what we've been up to.
The eagles have gone. Britain lies defenseless in a cruel world. Since the birth of our Lord, it has been 456 years. What sins have we committed to bring this punishment to Britain? I speak, of course, of the Saxons. They came as allies, but now they seek conquest. The lands of the Britons lie ravaged before them. Blood runs red in our island. We need a leader to stand against them. We need a man to bring together the Britons in common cause. We seek a Dux Britanniarum.
Right, that's enough of that. Dux Britanniarum from Two Fat Lardies. They really are very good.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all. So, time to catch up with what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks.
Well volunteered, Neil.
But before we do that, there was a couple of things we were going to do in the introduction, and forgot to do because we got distracted by talking about Christmas cake.
Oh, that's right. Blame me.
You're the one that brought it up. I just kind of went with the flow. Admittedly, I think our regular listeners would now be disappointed if we didn't talk about cake.
Alternatively, they might be just begging us to shut up and get on with the War Games content.
There is that. Right, okay. So, first off, we wanted to give a shout out to a couple of people. That was cue Mr. Hobbs.
Mr. Hobbs, who's on mute. So, first up, got to give a shout out to Nicholas Caldwell, who sent me a mail because he'd heard I'd been doing a little bit of solo gaming and sent me a copy of some rules he wrote called Sarge Rules, which, as he says in the email, helps create solo games. It's about a way of determining strategic objectives and handling movement orders. And then he also sent a copy of some Invasion UFO rules, which he wrote, because he thought Neil might be interested in those. So
yes, because they kind of vaguely relate to. It's Earth against UFOs.
Yes, it's not XCOM in any sort of way. So thank you very much, Nick. That was really nice of you. I've had a look at them. They look really good. He also said that he's listened to the podcast when Wispin Neil first started, and he thought he'd never last. He didn't want to say lots of nice things about us and, how much he likes it. But,
No, I was just, he thought it was everlasting. And has regretted the fact that it has. Yes.
Don't worry, Nick. We all thought that when we first heard it. But yeah, thank you very much, Nick. That was really kind of you.
And I also wanted to give a quick shout out to another podcast listener, Luke Holmes. I met Luke at the other Partisan show this year, and at the time he was on crutches because he'd done his Achilles tendon, and he said, "Oh yeah, I was just coming off crutches," and I understand that he's only gone and done it again. So, Luke, get well soon, mate. I hope it all sorts itself out. It sorts itself out real soon. So, get well soon, Luke. Okay, on to what we've been up to over the last couple of weeks. And I suppose it's about time I went first.
Past due, mate. Past due.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what have I been up to? And I will try and make it relatively short this time.
I'm just going to go and get a cup of tea and some popcorn. Then off you go.
Okay. Painting. Oh, we need to give a shout out to somebody here because lots of people have been starting this, and I just want to give a shout out, Mr. Thomas 1987, who some of you may have noticed. He started something a couple of weeks ago now called hashtag Hobby Streak on Twitter. Now, this is something that we've talked about on this podcast before now, and it's something that I know the great Guru was having a go at me about, and we've talked with Andy Hoibday about it in the past. But this thing about one way to do painting is to do little and often. Even as little as 20-30 minutes a day means you can actually progress with some of your projects, which otherwise would not see anything happen to them. So he started this thing called Hobby Streak, hashtag Hobby Streak, and day X, where X is however many consecutive days you've managed to do painting for. And it seems to have taken off in several ways. So it seems to have been quite popular over the last couple of weeks. So I've been doing that, and I've taken advantage to get back into painting my second Test on a Warband. And I'm kind of 2/3 of the way through it. My troops are pretty much finished. Definitely by the time you hear this, they will be, because I'm in the middle of doing the basing, and I've got some character figures to paint for my Test of. This is a Rebel Alliance themed Test of Honor Warband. So the character figures have colour schemes vaguely similar to some of the heroes from the Star Wars films. So that's what I've been painting. Playing. Played lots of different bits and pieces. What I've been playing recently. So, managed to get a game of Dungeon Saga in, where we didn't get defeated by doors. Always a good one.
What? Not even a little door?
Not even a little door.
You actually opened
No.
them?
Yes, it was. It was amazing. Right, so we've played Dungeon Saga, had again Mansions of Madness, which seems to be real flavour of the month at the moment, and we actually beat the first scenario of Mansions of Madness on I think this is the 5th attempt. We actually managed to beat it, and then finally got Conan back to the table last week. Good to play that again. Mr. Hobbs, I got to play Arkham Horror the card game.
Cool.
Last weekend.
Did you like it?
It's very nice.
Have you bought it?
Not yet.
Have you ordered it?
Not yet.
Have you put it on a Christmas list?
It might be on my birthday list. I'm trying to be good and concentrate on one thing at a time. But why break a habit of a lifetime? It is very, very good. Yeah, we died horribly because it's Arkham Horror, and we didn't get out of the second.
I trust you died horribly and gibberingly insane.
Well, no.
You're slipping.
got ripped limb from limb. The rumor that I helped by cleaving a street urchin in two with a machete is almost completely untrue, because we hadn't worked out how the engage action.
Yeah.
I hadn't worked out how that worked, or we kind of skipped, because I was trying to work out how if two people were in the same room, how one person could grab a monster off the other.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, obviously, you use the engage action, except for the fact that
if you failed,
we hadn't done that because it was the first time my other mate Dave had played it with more than one person. Of course, you don't have to use the engage action when you play it solo. So he didn't know, and I was. And anyway, so the bottom line is, if you attack a monster that is engaged with somebody else and you miss, you automatically hit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
Especially when we were having problems with the ghoul, who'd already had a big chew on, because Dave was playing the urchin, I was playing the FBI agent, whoever he is. She was already a bit chewed, and then I happened to attempt to kill the ghoul with a machete, missed and hit her, and then she got attacked by a pack of rats and died. Great game. It's a really good game. I might we might be looking at getting that sometime in the non too distant future, but yeah, probably after Christmas. But my birthday's immediately after Christmas, so that, yeah. Good excuse. And then played Gloom of Kilforth.
It's another
now
one
there's a good game.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that, I mean, we've established on several conversations, the artwork on this game is absolutely awesome. It's a beautifully looking game, but it's a proper adventure game. It plays a bit longer than what they reckon. When you look at the rule book and it says, "Oh, this game plays 45 minutes a person," yeah, it takes a bit longer than that. Even taking into account if it was a learning game, it's going to take longer than 45 minutes a person to play this. But it's a proper adventure game. You pick your race and class, and then you have to wander around the realm, basically attempting to level up your character by completing quests. The whole point of leveling your character is you have to get to a high enough level so you can defeat the big bad demon that is attempting to break through into the realm. And you've got, in game terms, it's 25 days, or 25 turns before the bad guy wins. So you've got to basically complete your... each character has what they call a saga, which basically means they get up to their maximum level, which I think is level 4. They progress their character to a high enough level that they can defeat this big ancient demon, basically. One of 4 different demons that you can have. And in the meantime, all these monsters start turning up. And there's quests and places, and it's all massively thematic, and it's just brilliant. We're going to have to do a full show on it and talk about it in depth. As you gather from me just kind of wittering on for 2 minutes, it's very difficult to describe it and do it justice without really kind of going into it. But it's great fun. Dice based, so I'm rubbish at it. Mike, you did
a Kickstarter, yeah.
You went in on the Kickstarter for it when they did the expansion.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you'll regret it, mate.
No. I was just saying, I'm just looking for a nice game mat now, so I can go to Printomat.
Yes, although what I would do is I would hold on, because the one of the expansions for the game that's coming out is that the location cards that are in the original game, they're redoing them in tarot size.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the expansions, and to be honest, you need them that big.
Yeah.
Because at the moment all the cards are the same size, but the locations go out on the table, and then you start putting like monsters on them, and perhaps so something might have a monster on it, but it also might be a location. So, for example, it might be a temple.
Yeah.
And then something may happen, and then a monster appears. So the monster goes on the temple on the card, and The problem is, because all the cards are the same size, the actual location suddenly starts disappearing under these other cards. So the fact that they're producing these tarot-sized cards for the locations, it means that the game will take up an awful lot of space. It's a cracking game. I would highly recommend it if, give it a go. Played it a couple of times. Had a lot of fun. Highly recommended. So that's what I've been playing. Have I bought anything?
That was going to be my next question.
I've been trying to be good. Oh, I might have succumbed and bought a couple of bits for Gaslands after our conversation with Mike from a couple of weeks ago. Oh, I know. Yes, I did buy. Yes, I have bought something, although it hasn't arrived yet. Well, it hasn't arrived at time of recording. Ms. Norman from Bad Squiddo, hello Annie, released a new range, or the start of a new range of female samurai. Bought the first 3 packs of those because they look rather nice.
We really should get Annie on.
Can't imagine why. What, again?
Yeah, I think we should get her on. I think she'd like that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get on for a while, but apparently Neil's the person you need to speak to.
Well, obviously speaking to you doesn't do any good, because has she been on? No.
No, you're right, Neil. I don't know what I was thinking.
Had my shipping notice for Mythic Battles?
Mine's arriving tomorrow.
I haven't.
Apparently, as of today, it was in Paris.
Mine's arriving tomorrow.
Pardon?
I haven't had mine.
What, yours is arriving at your place tomorrow?
Yeah, I've had the shipping from...
When was yours in Paris? Was yours in Paris on Monday?
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And then as soon as DPT get it, it's pretty quick.
That means I might get mine. That means I might get mine on Friday. What's that, D?
Nah, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe next Thursday. Maybe later, May.
Maybe later. Yes, indeed. Anyway, cool. Yeah, cool. Mythic Battles. Yes, looking forward to getting that. Yeah, there was something else. Yeah, there was I thinking I wasn't going to succumb to any of the Black Friday deals, and it kind of fits in well with the show, with the fact that we're talking to Mr. Hobday. I bought a few more buildings from Suissa because they had a Black Friday deal, and then they sent me a voucher. The Bounders. So I may have succumbed and bought a couple more buildings for Test of Honour. But that's about it. Right, so who's next then?
Hobbsy is.
Am I? Okay. Right. I've been doing some painting. Anyone want to guess what I've been painting?
Riders of Rohan.
Correct. Yes.
Dang, I'm good.
Yeah. Many Riders of Rohan.
Are you sick of painting horses yet?
No, I'm quite enjoying it. This is weird, Neil. This is very, very weird because, I mean, cavalry. I don't do cavalry. I will struggle to do 8 cavalry. I've done 36 of the riders so far in less than a month. So Rohan's coming on very well. I've done 36 riders. I've got another 6, which are ones I got off Aid, which I need to repaint a bit to sort of match him in mine. So I'll get those done tomorrow, and then I've got 8 of the Royal Guard to do, and that's all the cavalry done. And then it's just got to do some archers, 24 archers, and a few characters. And that army's done. I need to start thinking about which one to do next.
And you've done that in the time it's taken me to paint, a dozen Ashigaru and a couple of mounted troops. Oh dear.
Well, it's not about quantity, Neil. It's about doing what you can do. Playing games. I played a few games. Me and Mark carried on our 7-continent adventure, and we lost.
I was going to say, oh yeah, how's that going?
Yeah, we lost. Yeah, we got stuck in a dungeon, and we obeyed all the rules of dungeoneering. When there's a little sculpture of a fish head on the wall with a ring in its mouth, you pull the ring a couple of times and see what happens.
Yeah.
When you walk into a room that's full of mushrooms and funguses, you go in and have a little smell of the mushrooms, see what happens. So that was a total... We died. So we're going to start again with a different curse and different characters. We had a game of Arkham Horror, me and Mark, yesterday. And we won that one, which was nice. We did the first scenario. We're doing the campaign.
Yeah.
So, which is fun. So we just finished the first scenario and we've got ourselves set up for the second one. So we're going to go and do a bit of deck building for the second one.
So for the first one, did you play the two standard characters that come in the box?
Yeah. We just did the standard one.
Yeah.
And then when we finished that, we thought, well, let's just try a bit of a deck builder because we earned some experience, which means we can swap some cards around. And we thought, well, let's just build the decks up. We'll keep the same characters. The campaign's really, really good. It adds so much to just playing the games as they are. So did that. Had a good playtest day with Jim and Aid. We got lots of stuff done for the game that can now be mentioned. And we've been winding up people on Twitter by putting out various code names for it and letting people guess what it could be. But we keep changing letters.
Yeah, isn't it Scourge of the Crankies?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we did that. And I went down to Firestorm last Thursday to chat to Andy Hoibday, who we chatted to a while ago, and Ian Jones, who's a big man in the South Wales gaming area. And they want to do a Arnhem-style campaign day next year in September, using Chain of Command, Bolt Action, Flames of War, anything else, but get loads of players down, all playing in like a linked campaign day. To try and get people who play different games to actually talk to each other, which I think is a fine idea. We're thinking of using the Flames of War Firestorm campaign they did.
Oh, okay.
So tomorrow I'm going on the club because I've got a copy of it, and we're going to just give that a go, because that might be a nice way. Because what we want is basically to have games at the different levels to affect each other. So if you've got a Flames of War game or I'm being Shotman game, the players then have an objective, but if they succeed in their objective, that then feeds on to maybe like a Chain of Command game or a Bolt Action game. So it depends. It'll dictate the sort of troops that they can use in their game. So and back and forth, so you can have sort of scouting missions and using the smaller games and then having that feed up to the bigger games. So yeah, we're gonna. But I think the Flames of War game would be quite good because it is basically designed to enable you to play a whole campaign. So it's just a jump-off point to playing games but using the board game to drive it. So yeah, we're going to have a little play with that, which would be fun. Buying stuff. I haven't gone that bad. I have bought some Rangers of the North figures from Games Workshop.
What? You've been back on the Games Workshop site?
No, I got it from eBay. Because Jim gave me a pile of Rangers, but there was 23 of them. And I needed a few more, so I found somebody was flogging off about 14 of them for a tenner, so I thought I'll have those. So I can do some Rangers next. I have bought a few Lord of the Rings card game expansions.
Have you? You kept that one quiet?
Well, that well-known pusher to A. Deacon, who's still got his trade account, sort of mailed around going, anybody want anything? And I went, oh, go on and see if you can get the 6 expansions that carry on from the core game.
Shadows of Mirkwood expansion.
So I got that, yeah.
Oh, cool. They're cool. There are a couple of absolute swines in there. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, so I got those. I have pre-ordered the North Star Dwarfs and Goblins that he's got coming up for Oathmark.
Yes. Sorry. Guilty as charged. I knew there was something. I've forgotten.
Yeah, because they look lovely. And also Nick has said that he wouldn't mind if we put pictures of those figures in our book when it comes out. So I thought, for research purposes, Neil, it'd be a good idea to pick up.
Oh, of course. Yes,
to have a look at them.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we'll probably give them to Jim to paint up because he's a much better painter than anybody else. And I also bought Gaslands.
Good man.
Because I've got your Dredge stuff, haven't I?
Got to be done.
Yeah.
It does, definitely.
As I say, let's face it, you've got all the miniatures, you just need a set of rules.
You all the miniatures about 3 times as big as anybody else.
Yeah, but I think it'll work, all right, just using the standard templates. It should be okay. It'd be fun anyway. So I've also sent off 3 biker gangs to Gareth to paint up for me over Christmas.
Well, you're not painting them yourself?
No.
Oh.
Lord of the Rings, mate. I'm full on Lord of the Rings now.
And the Riders of Rohan are not a biker gang.
That's right, because they're on horses. So anyway, that's me. All done.
Better be me then.
Mr. Whittaker.
So, painting. Not done any. Have, however, offloaded a dozen 95th rifles and some Foundry British Light Infantry to Tom at our club, who is going to be painting them for me as Sharp's Merry Bunch and some of the South Essex, so I can get rolling with Sharp practice. I suspect I'm going to be feeding him a load more over the next few weeks, as I've still got a few in the box of things that I bought when I was going to have a Sharp practice force for him to paint, and I've just ordered a bunch. I've just bought a few more from Casting Room, who do some really nice. They're the older Casting Room is sort of the outlet for the older Foundry stuff, and they've got some lovely Peninsula Light Infantry characters and command character figures. So, if you want one of those sharp practice skirmish units that's a little bit scruffy, doesn't look like it was drilled particularly well, then they'll look really fab for that. So that's about it from the purchases point of view. Hobby-wise, I appear to have had a commission from a certain Mr. N. Shook of this parish to print off some Thunder Road minis on my 3D printer for him. So those will get done probably over the weekend. They're a bit small, so it looks like they're going to have to go on the highest resolution not to look a little bit scratty. But they don't look bad. I've got a test one here and it looks okay. But I'm going to up the resolution and print those for the all over the weekend. And game-wise, still busy shutting down Love Films, so the sum total of my gaming for the last 2 weeks has been a game of Star Wars Armada, which I lost by the narrowest of margins. Played a very interesting scenario where the objective has one of the rebel ships teleporting, hyperspacing into the middle of the Federation fleet, and it could have gone better, but it could have gone an awful lot worse. I think if I'd stuck in there for another 2 turns before the scenario finished, I'd be Imperial Star Destroyer puree. But as it was, I survived long enough that I think the eventual margin of defeat was one X-Wing. So I don't feel too bad about that. It was good fun. It's quite a fun game, is Armada. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I tried Armada a couple of times. I just couldn't get into it. The stuff is fantastic. I mean, the models and everything with it is just really good.
Oh, they are. They're
really,
really
yeah, I keep seeing it being played down the club all the time. It's got a huge.
And I'm slowly starting to figure out advantageous strategies for playing the Rebels. Since, for example, if you take Admiral Akbar, everything with big broadsides gets their broadsides up by 2 red dice.
Oh yeah, that'll be.
So there's quite a nice argument for taking Akbar and the 2 or 3 rebel ships that have 4 and 5 dice massive broadsides to start with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then just getting yourself into a position where you can fire flank broadsides at anything and everything.
Yeah,
which, as they say, was fun.
Yeah, and of course you can do the voice as well, can't you?
Trap. Indeed, yes.
When I got it, I just thought I do like the way that they've done the small ship stands. I think that's really, really clever.
I think they're brilliant. The serious Star Destroyers are a bit scary, though.
Yeah, they are.
It's Dave, who is the keeper of all the Armada goodies down the club, had a bit of a splurge on eBay, and he hasn't quite got one of everything, but he's not far off. So yeah, that was me basically. The only thing pending this week is finishing printing those Thunder Road things for Neil. Sure, will make Neil happy.
Oh, definitely, most definitely.
So yeah, that's me pretty much. Been quite a quiet week, relatively speaking. Next week on the 10th. 10th? Does that sound like does the 10th sound like a Sunday? Yes, it does. Next week on the 10th, we have the Club Bolt Action Tournament, which I suspect this episode is going to get out too late to remind you to sign up for.
Yeah, probably.
And that's about it. I'm writing. I ain't been shot on scenarios for next week, for the next round of the campaign. I did forget something I bought. I was trawling for scenery for sharp practice. I'm going to find it now because Emperor Toad's Emporium have some really rather nice pre-made, pre-painted 28mm Peninsula stuff. So I have a Spanish windmill, a Spanish taverna, and a Spanish convent.
Ooh.
Which sound like just the kind of things you want to get shot and go scrapping over, don't they?
Is that 28mm?
Yeah, 28mm.
Really? What in resin? MDF?
I don't know actually.
Because I was looking at Charlie Foxtrot's Pantile range.
Oh, they're lovely.
Because obviously foragers will be well turning up in the next few weeks.
If I were a betting man, looking at the pictures, I would say they are plastered MDF.
Ooh.
Have you not seen Emperor Toads?
No, I haven't.
Emperor Toads? No.
EmperorToadsEmporium.com.
Quick, everybody. Straight to the internet.
to the inter-machine web thing. But he does a bunch of stuff. But the impression I get is it's pre-made to order and painted. But it's not that badly priced. For example, the Spanish Taverna is paid £25, and it's about 5 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches high. Little 28mm Spanish Taverna, looks very pretty. It's the kind of thing you plonk by the roadside on your sharp practice game.
Oh, they do look rather nice, don't they?
Check this one. Then there's the convent, which is neck end of a foot square and £50. But it's handmade. It looks to me to be plaster covered MDF and painted and based and terrained.
Great. There might even be links to this on the show if we remember to put them up.
Yeah,
indeed.
They're done on a made to order basis. So my order went in on the 19th, and it will turn up eventually. I have no doubt.
Ooh, no, they do look rather. Rather nice,
especially like with the Spanish house. The tiles aren't sort of perfectly straight, and they sort of wave.
No, the one thing I might do is I might retouch the tiles to match the roofs on some of my other buildings, but it doesn't matter if they're not perfect matches. But the convent's really pretty, actually. Yeah, and I may be doing some more proofreading for a Lardy's scenario pack for Mr. Avery. Poland Part 2 is on its way, apparently. It's more Germans in Poland in 1939 fun.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Probably another... I haven't actually looked at the proofreading file, but since the last one was over 200 pages for Part 1, it wouldn't surprise me to discover that this one is too. So yeah, I think that might be me.
Excellent. So, is it time for our interview with Andy?
Yes. Okay. So, yes, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be chatting with the one, the only Mr. Andy Hobday.
The nation is vast. There are battlefields of old, great convention halls, and worlds of fantasy to explore. Who will guide us across this great geek nation?
Since 2010, Geek Nation Tours have been providing holidays for groups of like-minded people. Whatever your nature of geek, tabletop gaming, TV, film, comic books, sports or science, Geek Nation Tours caters for you. Visit www.geeknationtours.com for more details and join the great Geek Nation. Have you ever wondered what's going on in wargaming? We do too. So come with us as we go behind the hobby with the Meeples and Miniatures interview. Well, we have the great pleasure to welcome to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast, Andy Hobday. Hello, Andy. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you, sir. Good to speak to you. For those of you who may not be in the know, Andy, well, I think you wear so many hats. You're probably a hobby hydra in one way, shape, or form. Probably. Well, okay, so you may know him as a game designer. You may know him as the head or one of the owners of Footsore Miniatures in the UK. You may also know him as the fact he's currently head of technology and systems at Warlord Games. Probably known best most recently as being the co-designer of Test of Honor. So, yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. I sound really impressive, don't I? Gosh.
As regular listeners will know, Andy, the first thing we do when we have somebody on the show that we haven't spoken to before, it almost seems sacrilegious asking you what your gamer credentials are like, but we want to know a little bit more about you. We want to get to know you a little bit better. So we'd like to find out how you actually got into the gaming hobby,
right?
And what got you started, and how has your progression through the hobby been over the years?
Okay. Yeah, not at all.
Started for 10.
Started for 10. I've said this a few times, but the thing that really got me into the hobby was, well, two things. One was Lord of the Rings, the book. When I was 14, I was ill and I was laid up in bed for a few weeks, and my dad brought me Lord of the Rings to read, and it was the first time, and I actually read it from cover to cover and got totally lost in the whole story of dwarves and elves. And it was the first time, I mean, we'd done The Hobbit at school, of course, but that was the first time that I got really engrossed in the whole fantasy genre, and really sucked me in. And then my dad also got me a book called Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
Yes.
And he bought it for a friend of his son, and as a birthday present, I think. And he said, "Oh, I bet my son will like this." And he bought me a copy, and I just was engrossed. It was one summer holidays, and I was engrossed for an entire 6 weeks trying to solve the book from beginning to end. And that really was the thing that got me going. It was this book coupled with the whole imagination, where obviously you were fighting, you were choosing which way you went. It was totally something really new at the time. And that really got me excited about the whole hobby back then. It's funny these days calling it the hobby, isn't it? Because back then it was very sparse, I think. And that was it. And then I from there I found Dungeons and Dragons, the basic D&D, the old red book, and I just carried on from there. And from there, ended up playing lots of dwarves with my friends, and one of my friends found Citadel Miniatures in a local bookshop. It wasn't even a model shop at that time. They had a rack of Citadel Miniatures, and these were like just the most amazing things I'd ever seen. And we ended up playing Dungeons and Dragons with figures, and I just collected loads of dwarves, and I got to the stage where I had a metric ton of dwarves, and it was like,
oh, excellent.
What do I do with all these dwarves? And I stumbled across Warhammer. When we're talking first edition,
mm-hmm.
And funny enough, I think they were giving away a dwarf with it called Thorgrim Thorgrimson. And
yes, I remember that.
He was like the best dwarf I'd ever seen in my life. I ordered the game because the scenarios in there were around him. Ordered him in, and that was it. I was just absolutely hooked, and found some friends to play Warhammer with, and we just played. I played through all the versions, and that's really how I got into it. Really, that was my way in.
Cool. So, how do you get from playing Warhammer with presumably a rather large dwarf army, to designing games and working in the gaming industry?
Good question. I ended up working for Games Workshop, funny enough, and I left school when I did my A-levels and went travelling for a couple of years, which was totally unplanned. And when I came back, I came back and I really just didn't know what I was going to do. I'd had a plan. I had a place at university and I was going to go off and do that. And I missed that. That ship had sailed by the time I'd come back. And I ended up in Nottingham for one reason or another. And obviously being into, I thought Nottingham, Citadel Miniatures, Games Workshop. And I thought this is something I could do. And I applied to them and they had a vacancy in one of their stores. And that's how it all started. I was working in the Derby store. I went there, got interviewed, ended up working in the Derby store. Did that for a time. I was in retail with them for about 4 years and worked my way up. I ran the Oxford Street store, down in London. Also was an area manager, which included Holland and all of that. So that was pretty cool. And then I ended up doing a project, and you guys will like this. I ended up doing a project with IT, and I was like the retail guy seconded to the project. And I got up there and we did this project, and I enjoyed it so much, and they liked me working with them. I ended up staying in IT. So
cool.
that's where.
Dare I ask, what was the project you were on?
It was all to do with, it was a retail till system. We wanted to replace all our tills, and they needed someone. We had some really old Omron 55 tills, which had an old modem attached to them, and they were polled every night, and we needed to change and really get up to speed. So I came in because I had knowledge of those, and I had some computer knowledge. It was very basic at the time. I just fitted in. So yeah, I dropped in and we did that, and it was a successful project. And I stayed with Games Workshop for 10 more years after that, working in their IT department. And they fully trained me, and I did business systems. I was a system architect, funny enough, like one of you chaps. I was a business analyst. I did projects. I travelled all over the world with Games Workshop putting in business systems. And in 2007, I been there about 14, 15 years, and for me it was time for a change. So that's really how I went from more like a fire-top mountain to getting into the games industry, because obviously in all of that time as well I was heavily into gaming, and I got to know people like Rick and Andy Chambers, Gav Thorpe, all those people. We all used to play games together, and just being part of that Games Workshop group, really, it was really played a lot of games, and also working in the stores. Don't ever underestimate that for Games Workshop. It was a great job. It's very tiring because obviously it's dealing with people all the time. Well, for me it was. I'm a bit of an introvert, but getting to play and talk about Games Workshop games, especially things like Necromunda, Mordheim, Man of War. I can't even remember what edition it was, 4th edition, Warhammer, when they brought Battle Magic out, all of that kind of stuff. It was so cool. You'd go to work, you'd paint toy soldiers, you'd teach people to play games, and you were totally engrossed in the hobby. And it was just like a fantastic period in my life.
Now, Andy, so you did quite some time working with Games Workshop.
I did.
And then, but obviously now you're working for Warlord.
Right.
All the same faces again, only some of them. I suspect.
Yes.
We've actually got you on the show to talk about something that you're doing with Footsore. So how did you get involved in that side of things?
With Footsore, obviously I was aware of Footsore Miniatures. I'm a massive fan of Dark Ages. And one of the chaps who worked at Warlord, a guy called Andrew Chesney, he brought really Footsore to Warlord Games, and him and Bill, I think, were the two who decided to give it a go, and he took over in the UK. So I was aware of it then, and I knew Bill anyway, and just from his lovely sculpts anyway. And Andrew fell in love, funny enough, and well, not really funny, and and he decided that the girl that he fell in love with was American, and he decided to get married and move to America, which he's done this year. So part of that was that he was leaving the Footsore UK business, and I just to be honest, and I hope Bill's going to hear this, isn't he? I was really interested in the casting equipment because 14-year-old Andy, who found Lord of the Rings and dwarves and stuff, always wanted his own casting machine, etc., etc. You know, it was like one of those things. So that's what I was really interested in. So I spoke to Bill about just buying the equipment, etc. Me and a friend of mine. I had no plans of what we were going to do with it, but it was just something that I always wanted to own. You know, so I could tick it off the bucket list, I guess. And
so is this a case of you wanted the casting machine just so you could you could sit in the corner?
Well, yeah, I'm sure I would have cast something with it, but I had no real plans. You know, I didn't think, just buy that casting machine, I'll create this great range of miniatures and off I go or whatever. I just wouldn't it be great to own my own casting machine? So that was really the impetus behind it. So I spoke to Bill, and Bill said, "Yeah, no problem, blah blah blah. But why don't you take the Footsore range as well?" Me and my friend Mark Farr, who I bought Footsore UK with, and take my moulds, and off you go. You could be the UK arm of Footsore. So it was really just an opportunity that came from that, with Andy wanting to move on and go to the US, and me wanting a casting machine. But once we got in and we saw, you know, the full range of the product and the opportunity that was there, we set it up as properly and ran it as Footsore UK, and that was. It's been about 12 months now.
Funny enough, we were talking to Bill 2-3 months ago now. And we were asking, from his point of view, how having this company that runs on 2 different continents, exactly how it works, especially when it starts to come into things like, sculpting and various other bits and pieces, and aren't you just killed with postage prices?
Well, what we've done is we've set it up as 2 businesses, really. Mm-hmm. So there's Footsore US, which is Bill, and obviously he's over there sculpting and making moulds and all of that kind of business. I mean, that's, with all businesses, the best way to work is to do what you're good at, isn't it? So we start with, he was running his store and it was all set up, and he was doing his orders and making his moulds and casting the miniatures and sending them out, and it was killing his sculpting, really, because he was running a full business, and it was kind of mirroring what we were doing in the UK. And about 3 months ago, we just said, look, let's take all of that off you. We will do all the distribution, etc., and the manufacturing in the UK, and you just sculpt miniatures. So that side of it has helped. Yeah, okay, it's more on us in the UK, but however, we got two employees. I mean, I'm just an owner, and I call it my 8 till 1 job. I do most of my stuff in the evening for it, and we have 2 guys who are in there distributing, packing orders, making moulds, casting. It's a proper little business. It's running there. So what it's done is it's freed Bill up to do what he's good at, which is sculpt miniatures, make moulds, but he doesn't have to. He can just send over sculpts or tins to us, and we can do that over here now. And we do all the distribution and the promoting and driving the business. So it's kind of working, it's kind of working, but we keep it clean. There's 2 separate businesses there. It's very easy to work out what's what. And, because we've got real ambition, we've also got 2 other sculptors in. We got Paul Hicks, who does quite a lot for us now, and Steve Sala. So we've now gone from 1 sculptor to 3 sculptors. So next year we've got so much already in the bag, ready to come out. So it's really working for us. The setup's really working for us.
Yeah, I was just going to note a couple of things. One of which is that it's not the first. That last time was not the first time we had Mr. Thornton on the show, as he was with us from the Historicon episode, which also featured Mr. Chesney.
Oh, there we go.
And also to say thank you guys ever so much for sponsoring the WAB tournament, Peterborough War Games Club, last month.
Oh, that's absolutely our pleasure. Mark is a massive fan of WAB, and we would love WAB. We would love it. We even asked Games Workshop if we could have it, but they turned us down because they've mothballed it.
Sad, isn't it? But yeah, it
is very sad.
A great day, and thank you ever so much.
Oh no, it's our pleasure. We'd love to support you more and more. Just get in touch.
Right, you've been teasing various people around the internet over recent weeks with the odd miniature or two, with a logo of Gangs of Rome.
Right, yeah.
Intrigued. Can you tease us some more? We'd like to find out a lot more about what on earth is Gangs of Rome. What's it all about? Where's it all come from?
Yeah, of course. Funny enough, it came from one of the chaps who works for Footsore in the UK, a guy called Darren Evans. And Darren used to be a librarian. And 6 years ago, he's a massive Romophile. He loves it. And he came up with this idea of this game of gangs in Rome. But he didn't call it that. He called it Blood on the Aventine. And what he'd written, it was kind of like a Roman Mordheim. And it was great, it was a great game. Yeah, it was that kind of thing. And he just wanted to be able to take gangs and fight in different various parts of Rome. And when he joined us about halfway through this year, he said, I've got this idea for a game. And none of us had really thought about it. I would never think about Rome. I mean, we all like Rome. Some people are mad for it. Some people, we're aware of it. I think it's this kind of like Western schooling that we all are aware of it. But he was just up for it, and he convinced us that we should take a look at this game for him. So we had a look, and we liked the idea, but we totally rewrote the game. Well, I must add, he's pretty cool about it, but because we just thought, what should we do? So we took his concept, and we've kept the idea that it's gangs. It's a skirmish game, and it's based on the streets of Rome, but it's not totally locked into there. It's not just all, you can fight in villas on the outskirts, or, you could be in the docks or whatever. It's pretty location agnostic, as long as it's within the scenario. And each player takes a role of a dominus, and a head of a house. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to gain experience to get from just being a head of a house and influential in their area to actually getting into the Senate. And how they're doing that is by different options and come up, different scenarios. And the idea is they form a gang each time to try and win that encounter with a rival house. And that's the premise for the game, really.
So Andy, I mean, this is a question I've asked a few people before, because this sort of small gang size game, there's a lot of them around. So what's the thing that makes Gangs of Rome stand out from other games of that sort of genre?
Good question. One of the things before I'd write any games, other games, I write with a partner of mine. He's a guy called Adam L. Dobbins, and Adam is just like a machine when it comes to coming up with innovation and ideas for games. In fact, he needs holding back instead of unleashing. And one of the things that we decided was if we were going to release any games, we had to have some innovation. Otherwise, it would just be a Roman Necromunda or a Roman Mordheim. And we didn't want that to happen. So some of the things that we've taken is we looked at this and sort of ways that we could make it intriguing. And number one is, when this is what I think, people might be listening to this and go, no, I thought that. I've come up with that idea. Well, I played a game like that. But for me, the number one thing is it isn't your gang that gains experience. It's you, the player, who gains experience. So the first thing is each time you come to a scenario or an encounter, you can bring, as I'm sure you're all aware, life is cheap in Rome. So you can change your gang every encounter if you want to. So you can pick the right people for that scenario.
So you're not sticking with similar concepts we've seen before, where you have your gang and you just go through a series of scenarios with that gang. You are looking at more of the fact that you're the leader and you're just bringing in the resource that you need to do whatever mission you have.
Absolutely. Your gang is, the idea is we're in the Republic. The legions are out. So as a Dominus, you're you're hiring this gang to protect your house, but also, to do your naughty deeds out on the streets. So the idea is you would have more than, say, the 5, 6, 7 gang members that you're going to play with. You could have 10, 12. So you can draw down whichever ones you want to use. Each of those gang members are fully realised. So just because you've stabbed someone, you don't gain 20 experience. And, look, now I can do, super stabbing or whatever. These guys are all fully realised from the get-go. So that I think makes it very different. Also, every single fighter is unique. So you'll appreciate this, chaps, being an IT guys. I wrote a fighter randomizer, and every time you push the button, it kicks out a unique character.
So when you say you kick out these unique characters,
yep.
Because you're releasing miniatures with them, are you having like specific characters with the miniatures, or are you just sort of saying these are miniatures? And in this scenario, these are the stats that you sort of generate for that particular one?
Each fighter that you buy comes with a card.
Right, okay.
So each one is, there's a small margin for change. So the stat lines are different, or they can have different skills, or they can be from different origins of the city, or they could believe in different gods, or they could just have a different name or a different story, a backstory. But every single one of those cards, and we've generated about 5,000 already, we're aiming for 10,000 for launch. Each one gives you a unique fighter. So when you buy your five gang members, get them home, you open up your fighter packs, it's like meeting your gang for the first time. So you look at your 5 guys and go, right, or girls, there's girls as well. These are my fighters. How do I best use those in this scenario that we're going to play? So what we think we've created is a game where every single person's gang is unique around the world.
Oh, right. So when you're saying we created 10,000 cards, it means that every single pack that people get,
every single card is
different.
Yeah.
So it's not the case of everybody buys. Yeah, if you buy Gang A, you'll get the same. Everything will be different.
Yeah, everything will be different.
Wow.
So that's something that's a bit different. Also, what you get in there,
just a bit.
So and we've had some people question this and go, oh, what if I get Darth Vader and my mate gets Darth Vader, I get an Ewok? That's not going to be fair. The range isn't that different. Every single one we've checked every single one as we generated them, because obviously we want to check to make sure we're creating a good game. I would take every single one of those fighters. So, that's kind of where we are. I mean, some are better than others, but how you can complement some of the weaknesses is we have a set of coins that you get as well. And these coins are either value 1, value 2, and value 3. And these are all equipment or weapons that you can, again, equip your gang members with. And they take them onto the table blind. So if I was playing you wouldn't know what I've got until they're revealed. Same as I wouldn't know what you've got. So you can take these coins. So each fighter is worth so many points. We say play 150 points. We'd work out our fighters, and then we would take coins to take it up to 150. So each time I play, my gang is totally different, totally unique, and I can skill them up, take the fighters I want to take, or I can take the coins I want to take, just for that game. And you're not going to know what's going to turn up that game. Unlike when you play Necromunda, where, say, we would play as a group, the 4 of us were playing Necromunda, after 2 or 3 weeks, we all know what everybody's got in our gangs and what's going to turn up. With Gangs of Rome, you decide the scenario, you work out what you're going to play. So we would say, we'll play tomorrow. This is the scenario. And we'd all scurry home, work out which gang we've got, which coins we've got, we would bring to the table the next day or when we play, that we think we're going to win that game.
Right. That is very, very different from every game we've seen so far. Because, as you say, the way it's been is that you may take a particular gang, and obviously that gang changes slowly over
Yep.
time if you follow a campaign system. But as you
Yep.
say, generally people know pretty much what everybody's got, especially if you're playing in a long-term campaign.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's how we've done it. So, also, some people said, well, if I've got more money than you, I could buy more gangers, giving me more cards or more coins, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work like that, because obviously you're restricted by the points you can take. You may have more choice, but more choice doesn't always mean, you've got better resources. And we've played this, and I've had the same seven gangers now for 6 months. And the playtesting group that we had, we auto-generated all our gang members, and no one wants to change them out. We've all got really, really, attached to them. And the games we play are between 3 and 5 gang members normally. So 5 is about the average. So we have a pool of 7 or 8, and no one wants to get any extras in. So it's kind of working, it's worked so far for us all. But then, if you do want to add someone else, buy another model, he'll be totally new. And the good thing about the models in the packs are, even if you and I buy the same figure, they've got 3 different heads in, a sprue of different weapons, shield or whatever. So every single time you buy that figure, you can put him together or her together totally different. So every time you buy a pack, it's money well spent.
It does sound interesting. So, do you want to go into some of the basic mechanics,
Of course,
how a turn works and that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you play it, like we say, it's all very scenario generated. There'll be some key pieces of scenery or terrain that go on the board, but the rest of the board you can choose between yourselves if you want to have it pretty sparse, or if you want to have it heavily urbanized. It's up to you. How much you put on there. The playing area is 3x3, and you turn up, obviously, as we say, with your gang. So you'll see the gang as they come along, and you set up the buildings. You have pebbles, like the old black and white pebble system that the Romans used to have, where they draw or put a pebble in the bag. So if I have 5 gang members, I put 5 of my colour pebbles in. Whatever you have 6 or 7 gang members, you put that many of your colour pebbles in, shake the bag up, and then we put on the mob. So we've actually included all the citizens of Rome on the table. We played to start with an empty Rome, and as we know, Rome is some busy metropolis, and it felt very empty. So one of the other mechanics that we've added in is mob stands. So usually you can play with 4. We usually play with 6. So you have these mob stands, you put them out anywhere on the table, you can choose where you put them, and they are groups of Roman civilians going about their day, going to buy bread, selling slaves, chasing geese, that kind of thing. And they will interact as well with your gang and your opponent's gang during the game. So on they go. Both put out your guys, you know what the scenario is, draw a pebble, off you go. So whichever colour pebble comes out, you can move that person and away you go. So that's the basic mechanic. So from there, you've got a number of actions. You can obviously move, you can fight, you usually do 2. So you've got move, or you could fight, move, or move, fight. You can move up to the mob and blend with the mob. So you can hide in the mob. You can, once you start to get into combat, you get injured. You can bind your wounds, that kind of thing. So there's a number of different options open to you as you play. So the round will last, it's not alternate. As you draw the pebbles out, those actual gang members will move. And then at the end of the turn, you stop, put all the pebbles back in the bag, and you go off on another turn.
That's immediately very different again, isn't it? Because so many of these, almost all of the kind of gang games that I've come across before pretty much tend to operate in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually having in a situation where, actually Rome is going about its everyday business and you're operating within what's going on in the everyday. Yeah, again, something that not a lot of people do.
No, you need the mob. It's like I say, it's Rome. And also, as the game starts, you're just normal citizens of Rome. You haven't got I'm a member of a gang, written across your forehead. You're until you actually do something like attack an opponent, or you can attack the mob if you're mad and are mad enough to want to do it. Until you actually physically do something that shows that you are a gang member, everybody just moves about their daily business.
So you're saying that you can sort of start the game with all your gang sort of squirreled away amongst the crowds or hiding in alleyways?
Yep, you can hide it.
Yep,
you can hide definitely in alleyways, etc., etc. You can't actually start inside a mob unless the scenario allows you to. But you can, as a move, you can move up to them. As long as you're touching them, then you disappear into them and you take your fighter off the table. So they come off the table. The next turn, when it's their turn to activate again, they can come out of any mob stand on the table. It's like they've It's like they've blended with the mob, and now they appear again. So you need to be aware of where the mob are, and according to your gang as well, because someone might come up behind you and stab you in the back.
Right. So do the mobs move independently, or is it
they do
sort of randomised movements that they have?
They absolutely do. At the beginning of each turn, once you've finished your turn, you roll one of the Roman numeral dice. If it comes up with a V, they're 1 to 6. If you get a V on there, that indicates that the mob moves. They move in the direction of the V because it forms a point, and they move as many inches as what's scored on the dice. So they'll move either 4, 5, or 6.
I like that. It's very clever.
So, but they'll also move. So they'll move randomly like that each turn. They'll also move or react to any shenanigans that's going on. So you can either obviously shoot someone, fire a sling at them or a bow. They're usually the coins. The coins give you range weapons. Or if you're in hand-to-hand combat. So if you're in line of sight of the mob and some combat actually kicks off, when that's happened, you roll after the combat, you roll a dice, and then based on what you score, depends on how they react. They can either stand and watch and think, "Oh, great, 3 gladiators in the street, gom gom gom, eat the popcorn." They may stand there and go, "Oh my God," panic, and run off in an opposite direction, running over any gang members that are in the way and causing them harm. Or they might think, "Oh, free for all," and they might join in. So they can do one of those 3 things. And if the mob react to some combat or something like that, for instance, like a panic, and they run off, if there's any gang members hiding in any of the mob, they could get spat out the other end as the mob run off and leave them there. So going into the mob is good, but you could also get caught in there.
Cool. So, didn't Rome have its own sort of police force?
It did, the vigils.
Well.
Yeah, there's the vigils.
Yeah.
What we've done is we're not done the vigils for the first release, but we've got nighttime rules as well. And what they did was we're going to replace the mob with vigils for the nighttime game, and their job was really to go out and stop people lighting fires. So we got some scenarios based around those as well, which will come after release.
I'm liking the sound of this a lot already.
When you think of Rome, especially sort of Republican Rome, you just think about intrigue and the politics, and I wonder if that's been brought in.
Oh, it has.
Sort of campaign style.
Oh, it has.
At all.
Yeah, it has. What we've done is we kept it very simple, but I think it's pretty effective. There's 2 things that the main thing that we didn't want to happen was you and I are playing and I win loads of games and all of a sudden my gang becomes untouchable. And then there's no point in continuing to play there. You have to scrap your gang and start again. So what we've done is
the classic campaign issue, isn't it? When when you have gangs, is that somebody gets ahead and then
you can't pull them back. It's really difficult. So what we've done is we've come up with these they're called PIMs, personal influence markers. So what happens is, say you and I play a game, you beat me in that game, that's that scenario, I have to issue you a PIM. So we can download them off the site. They'll be paper. And what it says is that because you've beaten me in that scenario, you've gained influence over me. And that's what it's all about. We're trying to get as much influence as possible to get into the Senate. So I have to then have the shame of signing over this PIM to you. I put my name on it, Andy Hobday, and I sign it, and you hold that and you keep it. And then you can either do 1 or 2 things with them. What most of my gaming group would do is display them on the wall in their gaming club. showing how good they are and how many they've got. And the scenario is the campaign is very simple. The first one to get 20 pims wins. So if you've got 20 influence, it's like a Swiss ladder style. You win. You can then take the run for the Senate scenario, which is you get your gang, you get your dominus. You need to try and get from one table edge into the Senate while the other person tries and stops you. If you get in, you become a senator. Tick. End of campaign. What else you can do with these pims is there's a whole chart of how you can cash them in. So when we're playing a game, you could cash your pim in, and you could say, right, you asked about mob. I can have 2 or 3 of my gang members start in the mob. And it gives me a slight advantage over you by each time I use those pims. So that's how it works. But how you keep it balanced is you can only use a pim that you have won off someone against them. So I can win 2 or 3 pims off Steve, for instance, and then play one of them against John. I have to play them all against Steve because I have influence over him. So I can actually influence the game that we're playing. I haven't beaten John, so it's like we're both newbies, really. So, we've got a level playing field. And that's how we've kind of balanced the way that it works.
You thought this through, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah.
It sounds appealing.
Neil is developing that famous glazed, can I hand you my credit card look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what it is? It's very fun. We've made a very, it's not historically accurate. I'm sure it will offend some historians, and I'm really sorry about that. But what we've done is it's historically inspired by Rome. We've used Rome as the backdrop. The guys look, as Roman as we could make them. We have written Adam has written a Pompeii scenario, which has floating lava. We all know there was no floating lava down the streets of Pompeii. It was all the ash and the gas that choked everybody. However, how great is it to be able to throw your opponent into the lava that's going down the street? We couldn't not do that, So it's kind of got that. And the game as well is very cinematic. There's 2 types of combat. There's a blood attack, which is a default. So if we're going to go to fight, you're going to brawl and try and kill each other, of course. But there's also a brawl attack, blood and brawl. So the brawl attack, you actually throw your opponent away. It's like you're grappling. So where that works really well is if you want to try and escape from combat, or if you're up on a building, because you can go in and through the buildings. We've got scaffolding made, because Rome was always under construction. So we got some scaffolding made. So if you're on top fighting on some scaffolding, you can try and throw your opponent off, which is pretty cool, So we've got all of that. And also the way that it works is there's an agility rating that you have and an agility score to do things. You can try anything. Everything you would want to do has an agility score. So, for instance, you want to run up, jump over a cart into combat, you can do that. You just measure how far the cart is in inches, and that will give you a score for an agility rating. Take an agility test. If you pass, you jump over the cart. If you want to climb up that wall over there, because you can, obviously if it's a flat wall, it's not going to happen. Measure how high it is, gives you an agility rating, roll your dice, you climbed up, or you haven't. So we've made it very cinematic in that way as well. So you can probably do anything that you can think up between you, as long as you both say it's okay.
Yeah. Going back a bit, we were speaking to one of the guys from Toll Trader, and they were talking about Carnivale, and they said that the sort of third player in the games was the city. I'm kind of guessing for Gangs of Rome, it's a similar thing because it's Rome. You're obviously doing the figure manufacture. Have you set yourself up with one of the MDF or sort of
we have
terrain people to actually produce buildings as well?
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Steve Cummings from Sarissa, and I mentioned this to him, a few months ago that we were doing this game, and he was like, "Oh, Rome, okay, okay. We've always wanted to make Rome. Leave that with me." And off he popped. And then he invited me over to his unit about 2 weeks later, and I swear to you, he had Rome on the table. Instead, I expected him to make a few bits. They've made 30 different buildings. And he reckons by January release there'll be 60.
What?
And he's saying we're not. We've got 3-story buildings, 2-story buildings. First-story buildings, shops. He's made a temple. They've worked out how to make Roman columns in MDF. So we have that. They've done an amphitheatre.
Okay, that I want to see.
Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. And it's in 4 bits as well, so you can use half of it on the table if you want. You can have all of it on the table if you want. They've made cranes. They've made houses under construction. They've made a market stall. They've made fountains. They've made corner pieces so you can have rows of houses that come in. It is beautiful. They made the walls of Rome. They've made a gatehouse. We were talking tonight about something, a special bit for a scenario in general, which I'm not going to spill the beans on because it's too cool. But they're also made docks. They've made the docks, so you've got warehouses. They're making some boats to go in there at the moment, so you can moor a couple of boats together, run across them, have the cranes in there, have the warehouses. So we have Rome. It's beautiful.
So we're looking at about sort of £15 for your figures and a few £100 to get all the buildings that you want to build the entire city, because you have to.
Yeah, well, you can start. Well, absolutely, you can build up to it. But we've made bundles. We've made bundle deals that when we go live, we've done £8 for a fighter blister. But in there, you get everything to play that guy or girl. So you'll have a fighter card, coins, 4 coin cards, a dice, the fighter, loads of options for it, the base, their blood tokens. So you can take them out of the packet. If you want to add one to your gang, there you go, off you go. You don't need anything else to run that.
That's a nice touch.
Well, it's the way to do it. We've also done some deals. So if you buy a gang, we've reduced the price. We're buying multiples. So I think it's only £35 for your gang, for a starter gang. But also you get all your cards and everything you need for that. So it's all ready to go. The rule book is going to be 34 pages, I think, at the moment. And it's £8, but we're going to give it away as well as a PDF. So everybody who signs up to the Gangs of Rome newsletter, we're going to send it out as soon as it's done as a PDF to everybody. And it'll be the full book. We're not going to bastardize it in any way or cut it down. We'll send out the full book to everybody. So, we're kind of, this is all about people playing. We think we've made this game, which is great fun. And we want to just show people how good it is and get them playing. So we're trying to make the entry as easy as possible. If you're a nutter like me, though, you could go and buy Rome and it would cost you hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But we've got some kits that are like 40 quid to get going. So there'll be you'll have a market and a temple and you're away.
Yeah, because you can sort of start off just outside in the countryside, maybe with a small villa or, like you say, a small little village, and then you just move into the big city as you progress with the campaign. It gives you time to buy those extra buildings and sort of follow through that way. Yeah,
correct. We've there's 3 scenarios in the book. One of them is actually a raid on a villa outside the gates. So if you've got a Roman villa or any suitable house and you've got loads of green scenery like we all have, you can play that game and off you go. So it's pretty straightforward. And then you can add as you go. We've tried to keep it as simple as possible to get people playing.
Yeah. The only other thing I really wanted to ask was around the gang setup, because you said you can buy individual members. You're doing bundles of gangs as well, Andy, where you can buy, like the 5 figures to start you off. But are you saying that everything is just an individual? So there's no bespoke gangs that where you have to follow a path of these are the only ones you can have. It sounds as if it's going to be very open in how you create your gangs. So you're not being prescriptive.
Totally. No, absolutely not. There is some elements in there. Each gang member has an origin, so they come from an area of the city. So the 4 that we've gone with to start with is Aventine, the Palatine, Sabura, and Circus Maximus. So each place they come from, they get a skill that comes with them. So, for instance, if you're from the Circus Maximus, as you were brought up there, you were taught to always be strong. So when you start to get damage, your fighter gets damage, they start to lose their wounds, it also comes off their movement as well. So say if you had 7 wounds to start with, you took 2 damage, you move down to 5 movement. So it actually has an effect on your fighter. The good thing about your fighter coming from Circus Maximus, it will never drop below 3 because they're so tough. So that's one good thing about the different origins. With your mixed gang, if you can have your gang from all the different places, if you want, you can have 2 from one from another, 2 from another, etc., and they'll all fight together. And what they will bring is they'll all bring their individual unique skills from that origin. However, if you have a whole gang from, say, for instance, the Aventine or Circus Maximus, they get a synergy bonus. And what that means is, because they were brought up together, they never block line of sight and they can move through each other. So what you're trading is all of those unique skills, which are really good in the game at different times. You're trading all that for a single skill, but you also gain the synergy.
It sounds like I'm quite taken with this, I must admit.
I am. I must admit, I for the last 20 minutes, I've had the 2 series of Rome. You know that guy, the series with Kevin McKidd in it. That and like various episodes from the early episodes of Spartacus, and sort of all going through my head, and kind of going, "Oh wow, this is this sounds absolutely stupendous." I am so excited for this as you've been describing it.
Repeat after me, Neil. Open my wallet and help yourself, Mr. Hobday.
Yes, indeed. I mean, 2 things that immediately spring to mind. I mean, obviously, you're saying it's a scenario-driven game, and just from the way the whole thing hangs together, that is key. So, how many scenarios are you going to have, and are they all then going to have like kind of little tweaks? So even playing the same scenario, you can have different things happen. So even the same scenario is different when you play it 2 or 3 times.
Yes, is the easy answer to that. There's 3 in the book. We've written another 20, which we're just going to put on the website for people to download. We've been talking about at least releasing 1 scenario on the website every single month. So we're just going to give those away. How you can change a scenario is you can just change the number of points you want to play over it, which will just totally make it different. So we could say, right, let's try this scenario and we'll both bring an 80-point gang, or we could both try this scenario and try a 200-point gang. And all of a sudden, that will make a massive difference to the way that it plays out.
You're saying we're looking at launching this start of the new year?
Yeah, it goes on pre-order on Friday, the 1st of December. So that's from where we're recording now on the 29th. It's this Friday. And then it will be shipped out. Well, in retail terms, they say there's a street date. It will be on sale in traders, etc., from the 20th of January.
Right, okay. So, obviously, the other thing to note, this is not a Kickstarter.
No, it's all done and dusted and funded.
Cool. So, how many different miniatures are going to be available at time of launch?
There's 10 different fighters, 5 male, 5 female. Like I say, each comes with 3 different heads. So you can make a minimum of 3 different figures from each one. So that's 30 fighters. We've done 15 mob figures, and they use them in a base of 5. There's 3 what we call coin characters. So there's the agent, and he does some special cool things. So you can either use the coin that you have and move that around, or you can buy the model and use that. There's a Mastiff, which is like a Roman war dog. And there's also a gladiator ally that may turn up. So those 3 figures are done as well. So that's what we're going to be launching with.
Plus the range of buildings from Sarissa, yeah?
Yeah, all the buildings are done, ready to go. We've also got there's 4 Domini figures that you can use, which you can use get by yourself and bring you into the game. For some scenarios, you can use one if you want to. But yes, and all the buildings from Sarissa the rules, the pebbles, the special chits that you're going to need. We've had a little Gladius ruler made, which we're going to give away to everybody who buys something from us. So everything is ready to go.
Everybody's very quiet.
We're thinking. That's what we're just considering.
Just considering, yeah. Yes, considering. Yes, quite.
3x3 gang size. I haven't got many gang size games.
Yeah.
I've got no Roman figures in my collection.
Oh, I've got a couple of cohorts for Wab.
No, I've got nothing.
And just think, we could use all those buildings for Dux Britanniarum as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were talking to Sarissa about this. You could use them for World War II as well. If you were fighting in the Mediterranean. So there's loads of use for the buildings.
Sadly, I'm doing that in 15mm scale.
Oh, okay. Well, they'd be a bit big for you.
If you'll be ever so kind and lean on
Scale them
Sarissa
down.
and tell him to bring them down in 15 as well, I'd love you to bit.
I'm sure they would.
So they seem to do it with everything else.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
So we've got different gangs. We've got building bundles.
Yeah.
Is there going to be, one complete mega bundle, if you like?
Yeah, well, we're going to what to buy? Yeah, there's 5 different buildings bundles depending on how you want to do them. There's gang deals on gangs on their own. We have a starter deal for 2 gangs and all the bits you need to play them. There's a mat. We've had a mat done with deep cut, so we have a cobbled 3x3 mat. So we're going to roll it all up into a bundle, or you can buy bits of it, or however you want to do it. So it's all there.
Stop making it easy for us to buy, Andy. It's not good.
I'm just sitting kind of going, sold.
Yeah. and the figures are sculpted by Steve Sallow, aren't they?
The gang members are all by Steve Sallow, and all the mob are by Paul Hicks.
Oh,
nice. That'd be good.
I was going to say, yeah. If ever there were two of the sculptors, you kind of go, yeah, we'll just do this and do that. It's like, oh, crikey. Yeah.
It's probably best you keep Bill away because he's busy with Vikings,
Well, we did, as Bill told you. We never told him anything about it.
Yeah, you mentioned it. It's probably for the best, Andy.
Because he's so easily distracted.
Oh, he would.
Well, what we did was we'd finished it, we'd written it and everything, and we were just getting into production. I said, "Oh, Bill, guess what we've done?"
You know full well he's going to turn up with 2 figures or so only. He is going to do the Kirk Douglas.
Oh, he'll do something. Yeah.
Look, chap, I don't know. It'd be about 3 or 4 years' time.
Yeah.
Eventually he will.
Yeah.
Hi, Bill.
Vikings, Bill.
Yeah,
Vikings.
get back to your Vikings.
This sounds so good. Roll on the middle of December, that's all I say.
Test of honour, Neil. Test of honour. Stay focused.
Focus. Remember the mission.
Yeah.
Stay focused.
Yeah, but
Focus
There's no crossover on these two, Neil.
yeah, unfortunately, in that sense, no, there isn't. But it's only half a dozen figures plus a mob. So what, 30-ish?
Yeah.
Okay, there's your building or 2. But it's perfectly doable in a couple of weeks. It's not a problem at all.
A couple of weeks. So it'd be a lovely summer project for you, Neil.
Summer? I can't wait till summer.
Summer 2019 at present rate of progress.
Right. Okay. So we've got scenarios, campaign. As you say, campaign rules don't come into it massively because of the way the game works.
Well, we've got that, but we've also written a 13 scenario campaign book that we will bring out after release, I think, and that'll take you through. It's one for the Roman calendar, one for each month. It takes you through a whole calendar year in Rome. with the 13th being the climax. So what you do is you play through each one of those scenarios, and how each one goes leads on to the next, so it feeds in. So there is a campaign book that we're going to bring out.
And don't forget the 10,000 different unit cards that you produced.
That's absolutely right, yeah.
Yeah. No, so I'm sold, Andy. I'm just sitting here kind of going, wow, I am completely sold on this.
What we wanted to bring to market is something really unique and something which has some innovation, and we're hoping we've done that. And that's really, we've not tried to create a game that is, unique for the sense of it. Everything that we've included in this game actually adds to the game, and it makes the game, really fun and playable. So, that's what we brought. We're trying to make games that we want to play. So we think Gangs of Rome is the first of hopefully many that we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about it is you've got a lot of period flavour in there, which, sometimes with some games you just don't get. They just almost put like a rough veneer on them. But it sounds like you've really done your homework and you're trying to bring that, the whole Roman period feel into the game, which I think should be applauded.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, there are several gang games which, whilst not wanting to be, to put down on them, but so many gang games turn into a Wild West shootout, just not in the Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we've made objectives within the game as well. You could just end up having a scrap in the middle, but that's not really what the game's about. And with the mechanic where you can throw your opponents away and run away and break off and that kind of thing, we've actually written it into the game for that very reason. So it's all about achieving your mission. It's not about a slugfest. That's what you're going to win or lose and get to the Senate on, really, by winning the scenarios and getting the influence markers.
Quick question. Does each player have the same objectives in the scenario, or are they different?
Yeah, we've got both. The early ones, you both have the same objective, but then in some, one of you is the attacker, one of you is the defender, for want of a better term. And then what you're doing is, someone's trying to achieve something. It could be an escort mission through the streets while the other one is trying to stop it, that kind of thing. So there is attacker defender type scenarios too, or there's also scenarios where you both got an objective, and you're both trying to do that and stop the other person.
That's cool. That's another one just to add to Neil's suddenly froth.
Yes, indeed. So, new year, new Rome. Yeah, so looking forward to this, Andy. I mean, how long did it actually take you to put all this together?
Well, I'll let you into a secret, which has really worked really well for us. Adam lives in Australia, so again, using the power of technology, chaps, which I know you'll appreciate, it's been really, really good, because I can develop something like now into the night, speak to Adam, we have a handover, and then I send it over to him, and he continues to write through the day. So it's taking us probably half the time that it would normally take.
You've been doing follow the sun developments on it.
Follow the sun development, yeah. So it's been pretty cool, but including play testing and everything, it's about 6 months.
Well, so that's come together in super quick time then.
Yeah, well, Adam and I have got so many ideas around games and modules and stuff that we want to do. I mean, Adam has got so much. He has like a library at home of different bits that he'll just go and pull some out and say, let's try this as a movement idea, let's try this, and we sit down and we thrash it out. So we've got a lot of stuff already that we want to try. We just then bring it together and play test it until it works.
Something else I'm reminded of, chaps, about this time last year, actually, we spoke to Harry Sidebottom, and he was talking about his latest novel and how it was almost going to be like a Rome version of 24. and with the hero thrown into thrown in a situation into the streets of Rome, sort of thing. I was thinking, and he was kind of saying, "Oh, have we actually got a game that actually does anything like this?" And we were saying, "Oh, well, you could potentially use open combat or potentially use this." And well, it sounds like you developed a game which would be absolutely ideal for it.
Time to go and have a chat with Harry and get a figure done for Ballista. That's the principal character in his novel.
Absolutely.
Well, he'll be at parties then. Probably Hammerhead.
Well, we could take that and do a special character, because we have 2 special characters as well. So we've got this random generator, but we've got 2 characters that we're going to give away with the bundle deals on release, and they have fixed stat cards.
No, that'd be cool. Right, so Andy, now you've just made us drool over our microphones and be completely dumbfounded with the splendour that is going to be Gangs of Rome, because it does sound like an absolutely awesome project. I mean, it sounds like, it's been an absolute blast to put it all together, but as I say, it sounds like you've done a fantastic job with it. Obviously, you have been doing other things outside of Footsore as well, one of which happened to be earlier this year releasing another game which is quite close to my heart, and at the moment very close to my painting desk, Test of Honor. Now, have you, I don't know if this is a loaded question, but were you surprised by how popular this particular release has been? Because it's kind of taken off, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I'm trying to think. For me, samurai are my thing. Really are my thing. So, and I know a lot of people like it. And, some people see it as a niche, but I thought there must be people out there like me. So that side of it, not so much, because I thought it was a good game, and I thought people would like it, and people like the look of it, that kind of thing. However, saying that, I do believe that it's been more popular than I thought it would be. It's been more popular than Warlord Games thought it would be as well. So, and in a good way, it's great. So.
Considering it, how much it sold on release, and it's, I think they've kind of struggled to keep it in stock, haven't they?
Yes.
We thought what's going on, but it is a great game. I've say thank you. I've really had a lot of fun with it this year. It's been I've really enjoyed it. Can you tease us with anything? I mean, obviously we've had the main set of rules. You've released some additional rules, FAQ online, and we've had the Bandits and Brigands rules recently come out, and obviously at the Warlord Day you teased ninjas because ninjas. Although I understand, I understand there was opposition in some quarters to having ninjas.
Yeah, my quarter.
Yeah.
There is ninjas are great. Everybody loves ninjas, etc., etc. But the way that they are portrayed in the West is very Hollywood-wise. So that's that's my issue with it. Sneaky little guys or women, not dressed in black. There was plenty of those going on. I'm sure they did night missions where they were dressed in black, but that's it's a big harumph for me. But I know how popular they are, and we would have been silly not to do them.
Well, everybody wants to do the Last Samurai battle, don't they?
I do when they're coming over the top. Yeah. Well, saying that, I'd probably prefer to do a Tom Cruise figure before doing ninjas, and that would have gone down really well.
Okay, so we've seen obviously quite where are we up to? Hang on. Including ninjas, that's now 10 10 boxes. Different boxes.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here with Test of Honor? Can you give us any more any teasers on anything else that's coming out for it?
Yeah, of course. I'll tell you everything if you like. We just submitted our plans for the next financial year to Warlord, and what I want to do is I want to do campaign packs next. So what we're going to do is I thought let's do 4 So within Japan, the seasons are very colourful. So I said, let's theme them around spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So that's what we've gone for. So the first one we're going to do, I think it's going to be out in March, will be the spring one. And we're going to make a bunch of warrior monks. So we're going to do a set of Sohai, because we don't have them at the moment. The closest thing we have are the masked men. And we're going to write a booklet to go with them, which will have 5 or 6 linked scenarios into a campaign. We'll do some special rules in there as well for them, or add some rules for fighting in spring and against monks and all of that kind of thing. So that's what will go in the box as well with them. I've spoken to Steve at Sarissa, and what I want, we've got some new cool temple bits coming, but I also said I want a temple complex that you can put together in bits, so you don't have to buy the whole big temple, but you can build it into that, and we'll have loads of soji doors that will slide open, so you can fight in and through the whole temple complex, so you can go through it, etc.
Oh, cool.
So the idea is there'll be the campaign will be that there'll be, it will be based around attacking this temple, or this monk's temple, during spring, when it's quite a religious period for them, and that's what the campaign will be set around. However, you don't have to use monks if you don't want to. You could put either side in, etc. So that's going to be the first one, and that theme will follow through for the whole year. So we'll do a summer one, an autumn one, and a winter one as well. And again, there'll be extra little rules for that season, etc. in there, and they'll all be linked campaigns.
Cool, that sounds really good. Oh, looking forward to that. And from a miniatures point of view, and this is something you may not know, but are Warlord now going to start moving away from just producing separate head packs for the plastics? And are they moving towards? They're all going to be metal miniatures. We've sat and discussed it. So they've started making the Sohai. They're beautiful. So we've mixed them in. There's a leader guy. They'll all obviously be armed with naginata and bows, that kind of thing, and swords. Because as we know, some of them were just samurai, shaved their heads and went and joined the monastery. So some will be in armor, some will be in the robes. Some of the ones they've done, they've even sculpted the prayer beads on and stuff. They look amazing. So so each of the packs, we're going to do Sohai first. The next one will be samurai women. So we've themed it around a famous battle where one of the clans lost, and the women are still back at the clan household. And the idea will be that after the battle, the opposing army will come to try and take the house. And as we all know, samurai women are just as tough as the men. And there'll be a range of figures around that defending the home. So that will be what the summer one will be. And we've already got in our minds what they will look like. So we've got some pretty cool figures coming for that. And again, they'll all be metal. And then the third one will be autumn. And we're going to do a coastal raiding set campaign. And they'll all be with Wacko pirates. So we're looking probably at either Portuguese or Korean pirates. So there'll be a ship, of course. And they'll pull into the harbour and pile out the ship and attack the local villages and stuff. Yeah. So there's loads planned. Brilliant. Yeah, I must admit, I was wondering if at some point we were going to start getting Koreans involved in this as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool. So lots to come for Test of One of them.
Oh yeah, loads to come still. I mean, I think we're just scratching the surface still. I'd like to do some individual figures as well, and release some cards in with them, so we can have some real characterful figures that you could build whole campaigns around. So we're looking at doing that. I'd like to be able to set fire to houses. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when Graham and I first created it and played it, we wrote so many rules for it that what we ended up doing was taking rules out to simplify it. So the idea was, let's bring a game out that's very simple to learn to play, and then we can add to it as and when we move forwards, which is what we did.
Cool. Well, it sounds like Andy, we might have to convince you to come back on next year to chat a bit more. Chat a bit more about that.
Okay, I'm happy to do that, and also we got some other plans as well. So we're already as our own release. We're already nearly finished our second game that we want to do. So that's all
Right.
ready. It's at the play testing stage already. So fingers crossed, we may get that out for April, May next year.
Oh, cool. So look, so potentially Salute release-ish.
Yeah, that would be an ideal place to release a game, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Ooh, right. Okay. Ooh, intriguing. Of course. So with Gangs of Rome, I mean, obviously, it sounds like Gangs of Rome. You've got a huge amount of stuff to do over the next few months. As I say, I mean, it sounds like the amount of material that you want to release, whether for retail or whether you release on the website. It sounds like you've just got so much going on at the moment.
Yeah, it's all good. The good thing is it's all done. So we're just really in the production phase. So, we're just, the last thing we're laying out is the rule book, as you do. But everything else is done. All the figures are done. We're spinning them up now. It's all ready to go. We've also written the next phase of it. If it goes like we think it's going to go, we've already written the next 4 origins. So, we can then start to have fighters from 8 origins, etc. We've chosen different parts of the city. So, there's loads in the bag. We're looking to support this game for a long, long time.
Cool. So is there anything else in the pipeline from Footsore's point of view, or is this just is this enough to be going on with at the moment?
Well, Vikings, Bill.
Oh yes, Vikings.
Well, we got Vikings, Normans, we got Byzantines underway. We'd like to go back and do more Saxons. I've got another couple of projects that I'm working on with Paul Hicks, who cries every time I buy new books. So yeah, we got loads going on. It's very exciting at the moment.
It sounds it. Cool. Oh, Andy, thank you. Speaking to you has been a shot in the arm, enthusiasm wise.
Expensive is the word you're looking for.
Perhaps. No. I prefer to use the word enthused, but yes, it could get expensive. But
yeah, but
in a good
but
way.
Everything in a good way. Yes, everything we do is quality, and we're not creating stuff to just to shift it. We're creating games, so this is my pitch for you to open your wallets wider. We
already am.
We're creating games that we want to run with and support and play ourselves. So it's going to keep going. This is what we're doing. We create miniatures at Footsore that we would play with ourselves. So that's the whole concept behind what we're doing, really.
Yeah. I mean, the things that's impressed me most about this is the fact of not only is it not just another run-of-the-mill gang game, and I say that in the best possible way. Yeah, as Mike said, near the start of the interview, gang skirmish games seem to be one of the big things at the moment, and it seems that everybody's doing one. So it really has been a breath of fresh air to sort of say, okay, right, yes, it's a gang skirmish game, but it is not like anything you've seen before. And I think that's one of the things that has got me so massively enthused about it. Is the fact it is something completely different from what we've seen before. And I'd say that is to be massively applauded, because you could have just written a set of gang warfare rules, had a very nice set of miniatures, and it would have sold. But it sounds like you've really decided, right? No, we want to make this completely different and a completely unique playing experience. So, applaud you for that, sir. Very much so.
Yeah, thank you,
Andy. It has been fantastic to chat. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
And it's been great to chat. We wish you all the very best with not only with Gangs of Rome, but with all the planned expansions for Test of Honor, and the other game that hopefully we'll get a chance to get you back on and have a chat about in the new year. So all the very best with all your plans, and all being well, we shall catch up with you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, would you like to support us? There's a couple of ways of doing so. You can become a patron of the show by supporting us on our Patreon page. There you can give regularly every time we produce a show. Alternatively, you may want to give a one-off donation, and you can do that by using PayPal. For more details on both these options, please click on the Donate tab on our website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk.
So, do you think Neil's finish having his little lie down after that interview, Mike?
Oh no, I think he'll be fanning himself and coming over all unnecessary for a while. Yeah.
He got very excited.
I think I need to go away and run myself down with a damp copy of Miniature Wargame Soldiers and Strategy. I think.
Was that Miniature Wargame Soldiers and Strategy Illustrated?
Yeah.
Yes, something like that.
That is a magazine that we don't get to know about, Mike. That is the official.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very limited.
I know, it's Tabletop Miniature Wargaming Soldiers and Strategy Illustrated.
I thought you were going to say Radio Times.
That is the quote. It's like, go run myself down with the damp edition of the Radio Times. Yes, that's very hairy cornflake. But I obviously totally failed to bring that. Oh, it's late.
Yeah.
I'll try that again, shall I?
No.
Yes.
No, it stays in.
No. Stays in.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh,
Oh,
no,
yes,
it doesn't.
it does.
Oh, no.
Right, that's going on Twitter.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, Neil, one of the problems is that actually, Dan, we only get our side of it, so you're the only person who gets your side of everybody's side of the conversation. I could start recording this whole thing separately, just in case as a safety copy, and then I'd be able to blackmail material. No, wait, moving swiftly on. But there's always Twitter.
Yes, there is always Twitter. Yes, sounds a bit good.
It does sound interesting. Yeah, you've got some nice touches in there.
I do like Rome. As you say, building the streets of Rome on a 3x3. I mean, we thought Venice looked quite good in MDF, didn't we?
Yeah.
When we saw it at UK Games Expo. I mean, Rome.
I like the idea of having those mobs of civilians. That's a great idea, and the fact that all of the miniatures are going to come with different stat cards is a piece of genius.
It is. That is absolutely inspired. He turns around and says, everything's unique. And it's like, oh, no, not everything is unique in a gang. Every single stat card is unique.
Yeah, really clever idea.
As you say, stroke of genius. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it'll do well.
The fact that it doesn't take place in a vacuum. That it takes place the teeming streets of Rome as opposed to the empty streets of Rome when you're just running around.
Yeah, because civilians are really important in any sort of gang game. You know, you just need loads of them around, getting in the way, running away. So, yeah, great ideas.
I am so looking forward to that. It's going to cost me so much money. In a good way. For research purposes, of course.
It's only five miniatures, Neil. Maybe 7 at the most.
For one gang?
Yeah, you'll knock that out in a month or so.
A month?
Yeah.
6 weeks?
6 weeks at most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gaming challenge, should I wish to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Cue Mission Impossible theme at this point. Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm still at least 2 ranges back on Footsore. I've only just acquired some Picts.
They do some incredibly nice miniatures at Footsore. They do some really. I mean, their Arthurian Britons, I just see are.
Yes, I have a bunch of their late Roman stroke Arthurian cavalry for bolstering my Duxbrit force with some GGs.
Yes. I think when I
Bought those at
when I-
historical and still haven't painted them.
yeah, when I finally get to the point where I visit, I start looking at my forces for ducks, because I do have a couple of armies for ducks.
You got some armies for Saga as well, haven't you?
Just the one or two.
Hmm.
I've got some cavalry.
Yeah.
Yes. Got anticipated cavalry.
Do you want me to paint the? Yeah, I have. Do you want me to do the horses for you, Neil?
No. I must admit, I have quite enjoyed painting these two horses.
Two?
Both
Yes,
of them,
I painted two.
Have you done the socks on them? Have they got different coloured legs? Fetlocks?
No, because one's a grey,
So
he hasn't.
no, we should do a little fetlock.
They still
Yes,
should.
And the bay
Black leg on the bay?
has black lower legs, because if you look at bays, there are a lot of bays that, or at least pictures I was looking at, where they don't have socks. So I thought I'd
Yes,
just
but
do.
some do.
Yes, I know some do. On mine, I decided that they
But
did.
you probably need to give it a white stripe or a white nose or a white star or something.
Yeah, just something, Neil. Break up the colour. Go on.
Yeah, and of course, try and make it not quite so shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very shiny horse. It's damp.
It's it's not a shiny horse. It's shiny ink finish. Don't worry, it will be toned down with varnish once I have done the basing.
Yeah.
You believe you thousands wouldn't.
Yeah. You want to get some of these matte washes. They're really good, Neil. Trust me, brilliant.
Where are they from then?
Well, there's all sorts, like the Games Workshop ones are really good. The Army Painter washes are really good.
Hang on. I've got a load of washes. It just so happened the fact that I quite liked the warm brown colour of this Games Workshop ink that I've still got from back when. It's a lovely warm colour. So I thought I'd use it, but as I say, it's just a bit shiny.
Tiny bit shiny. Yeah.
Well, as I say, once it's got some matte varnish on it, it will be fine.
It'd be great. I really hope your matte varnish doesn't go milky.
I've got Army Painter Anti-Shine.
Ooh, that's well known for going milky.
Is it?
Yeah. What you want to do is make sure you spray it in a nice damp conditions, because that keeps down the moisture levels in the varnish, and
I've
it won't go milky
got
at all.
paint on one, mate. I have been there and had the matte varnish milky thing on a chaos Blood Bowl team. I was most upset.
Easy fix.
Yeah.
Paint them with olive oil and then respray them.
You can also spray them with gloss varnish, and that takes away and then matte them down again. But God, it's infuriating when it happens.
Isn't it? I had an entire Warlord Pike and Shot Battalion box, 2 complete stands of Pike and Shot, and all the cavalry all come out milky.
Ooh. Oh, I wouldn't be happy.
Mostly to do with painting them on a cold, wet morning at 6 a.m. prior to putting them on the table at
Yeah, there's sometimes you don't bother varnishing until you get the perfect conditions. Anyways, chaps.
Time for us to get out of here, I think.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, which I have forgotten to mention. For any listeners who are in the Minneapolis St. Paul area between Boxing Day and New Year's Day, so am I.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh.
So if anybody has any designs on a game, I know there's the Source Games Cafe, Games Club, the Source Games Store, which is not that far from downtown, which has a regular day on a Friday, so I might pop up there if I can find some public transport to get me there. Otherwise, if anybody's around, particularly if you were of a lurdy persuasion and fancy a game or something, drop me a line via the show.
Hang on, did you say Minneapolis?
Yes.
Does that mean you're catching a Vikings game?
Strangely enough, I'm going to see Vikings Bears on the 31st. Yes.
Cool.
Are you going to go to Paisley Park?
No, but I might also be going to the Timberwolves, see the Timberwolves play basketball on the 27th and the Wild play hockey on the 29th.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, anybody in the area who's a meeple and fancies a game or something, I shall be around. Contact me via the show.
Cool.
You may even get meeples on the road from the source if I get to get there.
Superb. Right, well, on that note, all that's left, I think, is for us to wrap up and get out of here.
Surely is.
So thank you once again to Mr. Whittaker for joining us.
You're welcome.
Hope you enjoyed the cake. And once again, thank you to the Welsh Wizard.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you all the Meeps.
Indeed.
Keep those tweets coming.
Oh yes, and this time we get to finish the show together.
Bye-bye. Roll good dice.
And it's good night from him.
And it's good night from me.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Happy gaming.
Bye.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.
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 Have fun storming the castle, boys.
Bye.
My
Do you
name
think
is
they'll make
Inigo
it?
Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media. And here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.